Hi everyone, welcome back to Jess Reads. If you're new here, I'm Jess, and if you're not new here, great to see you. So today we are going to do my April wrap-up. April wrap-up, right? Yes. April wrap-up. And I did decently this month. Not as well as I would have liked to, but, I read 6 books. 6? Yeah, 6. I read 6 books. I have my laptop over here as usual. I read 6 books in a month. And for me, that's actually pretty good. I don't know. I thought I did pretty well. So, pat on the back for me. Anyway, so why don't we just get started? And I was going to go in order of like when I read them, but I figured I would do because I read 2 physical and 4 Kindle, and I don't actually have the Kindle. I get rid of them after I read them, so I put them, I delete them, so I don't have them on my Kindle right now. So I'll just put them like up on the screen somewhere so you can see like the covers like when I talk about them. Yeah. So why don't we just get started with the 2 physicals? Okay. So the first book I read was Older by Jennifer Hartman, and I actually got to participate in the release weekday, the weeks and stuff leading up to the release. I was able to participate in like advertising for it, if that's what you want to call it, over on my Bookstagram, and that really meant a lot to me because this book was incredible. And aside from this book, Jennifer Hartman is an author that I am absolutely obsessed with. I haven't read like that many of her books. I read Lotus, and I read An Optimist's Guide to Heartbreak and A Pessimist's Guide to Love, which, those are a duology, right? That's the word? Yeah. And I loved those, and I plan to read more, but, yeah, but this book was, like, no exception. I ended up rating it a 4.75 out of 5 stars. And this book centers around Hallie and Reed, and okay, first of all, you should know it's an age gap romance, so it's like forbidden love, and it's this whole thing. And Hallie is abused by her father, and she meets Reed, and at first she like lies to him about her age, and then he figures it out like after they like start falling for each other, and he's like he's like in his 30s or 40s or whatever, and he is the father of his family basically like takes her in, and she and like the daughter doesn't really know that there's anything going on between the two of them, so it's like they become like good friends, and then it's this whole thing. But basically it's like an age gap romance, like I said. That's really all you need to know. So yeah, first of all, this cover is stunning. I'm always a sucker for a good cover. I do judge books by their covers. Sorry, not sorry about it. And it's a pretty hefty book. It's 416 pages, which, I mean, I've read more and I've read less, so it's actually pretty average for me at least. But at first glance, like because the text is also pretty small, so yeah, I mean, if that's what you like, then I definitely recommend it. So yeah, so that's Older by Jennifer Hartman, and as I said, I love her other books and I definitely want to read more, so I definitely recommend her as an author in general. So yeah, the next and last physical book that I read this month was Wild Love by Elsie Silver. So obviously, as we all know, if you're into cowboy romances, this was very, very highly anticipated by the cowboy romance lovers community. Um, I enjoyed it. I ended up rating it. What exactly did I rate it? Hold on. Yeah, I ended up rating it 3.5 stars. I'll be honest, I preferred Chestnut Springs series over this. Um, it was good. It was more than good. It was 3.5 stars for me. So, it's, I don't know. There was something missing out of it. I can't really explain it, but see, I feel terrible like about it because she signed you've seen this in my not last video, but the video before that, I believe. Like, she signed it for me, so I kind of feel bad, like, only rating it 3.5, but that's what I thought of it. But like I said, I prefer Chestnut Springs, Heartless, Powerless. I haven't finished the series. I've only gotten up to Powerless. So, like I said, I prefer those over Wild Love, but it wasn't bad, but it wasn't exceptional. So, there you go. Oh, I should probably, like, tell you what this is about. It's okay. So the little blurb on top says she's been driving him wild for years, the good kind of wild, the bad kind of wild, but mostly the kind of wild that comes with wanting your best friend's little sister and knowing you can't have her. Yeah. So basically Ford Grant is a billionaire and his okay, so first of all, oh, my voice cracked there a little. First of all, what happens, like, towards the beginning is he apparently has a daughter and she comes back into his life, and then like his best friend's little sister also, like, comes back into town, so he's, like, juggling all these, like, emotions about these situations. And like I said, he's like he basically is, it literally says he's the world's hottest billionaire, so he has, like, a lot to live up to, but he's just, dealing with all this stuff, and I don't know, like I said, it could have been better, but I didn't dislike it. Okay, so the next book, well, okay, technically this was the first book I read in April, but now we're getting on to the Kindle books, so no more physicals. Now we're getting to digital Kindle. Yeah. So the first book of those was More Than Just Us by Ali Otoski. Let me tell you, first of all, Ali is somebody that I came across through Bookstagram, and I met her through Zoe Reads here on YouTube, and they're good friends, and I saw that Ali was releasing a book, and, like, writing a book and yeah, why am I explaining that? And anyway, she was coming out with a book called More Than Just Us, and obviously, like, she's a friend of a friend, so I had to read it, obviously. This book, it was in, okay, so first of all, I rated it, where is it? Oh yeah, I rated it 5 stars. Why did I need to look at that to know that I rated it 5 stars? Like, if it's a 5-star book, like, I should have that, like, ingrained into my brain. Anyway, I rated it 5 stars. Something about this book, well, first of all, this book obviously, like, changed me as a person in general. The thing is, I found it relatable, but in a way that I could, like, feel the I don't know how to explain it, because there were some parts that were just relatable all around, and then there were some parts that were relatable because I was very like empathetic. There was a lot of empathy and not sympathy. What's the word? Empathy and the other word, I don't know. If you know what I'm talking about, feel free to comment. I don't know. But I could just like feel what she was feeling. And okay, I'll get to the plot though. So the center's around Stella and Bridger. They meet in high school, and Stella is going through like a lot with her family, and her parents don't really like care about her. Like, you know, her mom is like she's a real piece of work, and she just like, she wants what she wants for her daughter, and her father isn't much better, and it's this whole thing, and she's very like dismissive. And so Stella meets Bridger in school, and they fall in love, and then one day Stella basically breaks it off. But like she doesn't break it off, but like she does, but she does it in a way that like Bridger just like doesn't know what the hell happened, and she won't talk to him. And anyway, like 3 years go by. Yeah, 3 years go by, and they meet again. Bridger like moves back to like the town they grew up in, and they meet in like college. They reconnect in college, and they kind of have to learn to trust each other again, and it's this whole thing. And I'm really bad at explaining things, but just know that this book changed my life. And I'm not just saying that because Allie is like a friend of a friend or whatever. And I keep saying friend of a friend. I'm just gonna call her a friend. Like, she's a friend at this point. So, like, I'm not just saying that. Like, I am biased, but I'm not biased because it's a good freaking book. I made a lot of like Kindle notes and highlights. What is this? Kindle notes and highlights. I made a lot of those while I was reading, and like, I usually don't do that much, but I did this time around, and that's how you know that it was a good book. So the next book I read was The Infinity Between Us by N.S. Perkins, and I rated this book 4 stars, and this centers around Violet and Will, and their families are best friends, and eventually, you know, as people of the same age and opposites attract kind of thing, and they end up falling in love like over like each summer that they spend together, until one summer when something happens, and then basically like tragedy strikes. It's this whole thing. There's this thing that you didn't really see coming, and it's basically like a now and then, like it's a dual timeline. That's what I'm trying to say. It's dual timeline. It's then and now. And I usually am not a big fan of then and now. That's why I didn't. I'll be honest. That's why I DNF'd People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry, because I'm not a huge fan of dual timelines. But this was just different, and I happened to really enjoy it. Yeah. I don't know. It was good. I enjoyed it. Yeah. The next book that I read was Diving In by Bianca Miller. Why am I like clapping down here? Stop it. Diving In by Bianca Miller, and this centers around Georgia, and her estranged father dies, and she basically has to go back to the island that he lived on and she visited him on, and she goes back to like tie up loose ends, you know, and she meets a guy there who knew her dad and starts giving her like letters from her dad to like that like explain everything that went on over the years. And basically she doesn't want to stay on the island, but like this guy and the letters are like helping her discover like why she wants to like discover that like just like discovering like herself and what she really wants. That's what I'm trying to say. And on the side, by the way, side plot, she has this boyfriend that is just like a piece of crap, and she basically like leaves him, and it's this whole thing with him. And yeah, and I rated this also 4 stars. It was, yeah, no, it was pretty good. It was a quick read, I will say that. It wasn't very like, it was deep and emotional, but like it was like still kind of lighthearted, easy to get through, you know. Right, and the final book that I read in April was none other than Funny Story by Emily Henry. And lo and behold, I rated this 5 stars because, okay, I am biased, but I'm not biased because I mention this like in every video how People We Met on Vacation wasn't my favorite, but you know, Book Lovers I rated 5 stars, Beach Read I rated 5 stars, Happy Place I'm pretty sure was either like 4, 4.5, 5, you know, one of those. So Funny Story was 5 stars for me, and Funny Story, if you haven't heard about it yet, which I'm sure many of you have, but just in case you haven't, it centers around Daphne and Miles, and they each got broken up with for each other's exes. Like the exes got together, and Daphne moves in with Miles, and they kind of like drown their sorrows in each other, and then they pretend to date because like to like not really get back at their exes, but just like to show them that they're fine without them. And it's just such a, again, this is another book that like changed me. Emily Henry books tend to do that to me. Alright, so those were the 6. Those were the 6 books that I read in April. And like I said, I thought I did pretty good this month. So, yeah. Okay, so that is it for this video. As usual, drop a comment with video ideas because I don't have any at the moment. Alright, so yeah, like, comment, subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.